This is the third time I've read this book. The first time was 20 years ago when I was 22. It changed my life back then, but now it's even more relevant than ever. In this video, I want to share with you one of the most powerful lessons from this book that helped me so much. And I hope that it will help you too. Let's get started. We always have a choice between what we feel and what we do. But sometimes, if we don't control our mind, it can feel like there is no choice at all. Sometimes you're mentally rehearsing an argument you might have in the future, or imagining worst-case scenarios about your loved ones, or playing over and over again in your mind some traumatic experiences from the past. Sometimes you are thinking, I wish things were different. You're regretting the past. But here's the thing. We only suffer when we voluntarily choose to remember something unpleasant from the past or imagine something negative from the future. So why do we keep doing that? Why do we keep torturing ourselves? Why not just focus on the present moment? Well, here's a wise observation from Seneca, a Roman philosopher who lived 2,000 years ago. He said, "You suffer more in your mind than in reality." What he meant by that is that we magnify things in our minds and we blow them way out of proportion. So for example, you might be imagining that your child got into a car accident, and you keep thinking about how horrible that would be if that happened, and you're imagining that it's really painful and terrible. But then, if you think about it, you realize, wait a minute, I haven't heard from my child for 3 hours. That's not normal. Usually they call me every hour or two. So you call them up and you find out that nothing happened. They just took longer than usual to finish their homework. And suddenly you realize that what you imagined was not true. You suffered more in your mind than in reality. The same thing happens with arguments, for example. Maybe someone offended you 2 months ago and you're still thinking about how terrible it was and how unfair it was and how angry you were. But then you realize that you haven't heard from that person for 2 months. So either they didn't care about what happened, or they didn't think it was a big deal, or they probably apologized to other people, but they never apologized to you. And then you realize that what you imagined that person saying to you was not true. Again, you suffered more in your mind than in reality. So what should you do next time you're mentally rehearsing something that hasn't happened yet? Well, here's a very simple rule. When you catch yourself thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this might happen? And you'll see that you have zero evidence. Most likely these things won't happen. Why? Because most things don't happen, right? Think about it. Every day you wake up and you think, I wonder what's going to happen today. And every day you experience something completely new. If you think about how many things could go wrong during the day, if you think about all the bad things that could happen, you would be horrified. You would be paralyzed with fear because you would say, oh my God, I could get hit by a meteorite. I could slip on a banana peel and break my neck. I could fall off a ladder. I could trip and fall in front of everyone. I could get mugged. I could lose my job. I could get fired. I could lose all my money. I could get divorced. My kids could get kidnapped. My spouse could die. My house could burn down. My cat could choke on a hairball. I mean, the list goes on, right? But you don't think about any of those things when you wake up in the morning. Instead, you wake up and you think, what should I wear today? Or, should I take the train or drive to work? Or, what should I cook for dinner tonight? Why? Because you have better things to worry about. In other words, your mind knows that most things don't happen, so you don't waste your energy thinking about those things that could go wrong. You do not waste your mental energy imagining all sorts of worst-case scenarios because your mind knows that most things don't happen. So when you catch yourself thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this might happen? And you'll see that you have zero evidence. Most likely these things won't happen. So stop wasting your precious mental energy worrying about them. Stop torturing yourself. The second step is to ask yourself this question. How would I react if this actually happened? Because let me tell you something. If something bad does happen, if something terrible does happen, if something horrible does happen, your reaction will determine whether you suffer or not. You will have a choice, okay? So let me give you a real-life example. One day I was walking around Manhattan and I was looking for a place to buy some flowers. I was buying some flowers for my wife. and I couldn't find a flower shop anywhere, and I was already late, okay? And I kept telling myself, it's not gonna be on this street, it's not gonna be on this street, it's not gonna be on this street. And finally I found a flower shop. I go inside and the lady behind the counter looks at me and she says, "Can I help you?" And I'm irritated, okay? Because I'm already late. And I said, "Do you have white lilies?" And she says, "No, sorry, we don't have white lilies." And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? This has to be the only flower shop in New York City that doesn't have white lilies. Are you kidding me? I'm already late, come on. And I turned around to leave, and the lady behind the counter says, "Would you like some coffee? Would you like to sit down?" And I stopped. I paused. I looked at her and I realized, why am I upset? This woman didn't do anything wrong. She's being nice to me. She's trying to help me. Why am I getting upset? And then I realized, you know what? I choose to see this as a good experience. This is a blessing. This is an opportunity for me to learn something important about myself. And right at that moment, I felt this huge shift within me. I felt calmer. I felt more at peace. I wasn't irritated anymore. I wasn't frustrated anymore. So if something bad did happen, if something terrible did happen, if something horrible did happen, how would you react? Because your reaction will determine whether you suffer or not. So the next time you catch yourself thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, follow these 3 steps. Number 1, ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this might happen? And you'll see that you have 0 evidence. Most likely these things won't happen. So stop wasting your mental energy worrying about them. Second step, ask yourself, how would I react if this actually happened? And third, accept it. Accept it fully. Make a decision that whatever happens, you will react to it in a positive, constructive way. You will turn it into a blessing. You will turn it into an opportunity for growth. You will turn it into an opportunity to learn something about yourself. Because ultimately our lives are defined not by what happens to us, but by how we choose to react to it. In the meantime, stop torturing yourself. Stop wasting your mental energy on things that haven't happened yet and most likely won't happen. Instead, focus on the present moment. Focus on what's happening right now, because that's where life is happening. That's where you can make a difference. That's where you can create positive change. So stop mentally rehearsing disaster and start living in truth. Start living in the present moment. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. It really helps me out. And also, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video and what you thought of this book. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.